All right. So, hi. If you don't know me already, I'm Dr. George Valdez. I'm with FHP Geriatrics. I am a native Houstonian, double board certified, and practicing since 2002. Uh, Today, I'm going to be talking about COVID vaccine facts and myths. I have a short attention span too, so I'm going to try and get to the point as quick as I can. So a lot of people don't want the vaccine yet, and I'm not here to talk you into it, but I will share why I got mine. I'll start off by saying I hate vaccines, but last Monday I got mine. Day one, not too bad. Day two, it was like a punch in the arm, not like a little nudge, but a smack. I felt achy. I felt a little feverish. I felt lousy. Who wants that? Anybody? No? Me, I want it because while the vaccine was kind of lousy and kind of bad feeling, the actual virus was a nightmare. I spent all of last April on oxygen. I had 104 fevers for a week, and just as I started to improve, I crashed. I was on the maximum oxygen that they could give before intubation. The doctor that saved me and hundreds of others, Dr. Carlos Araujo, passed away in December from the virus. So the virus is a big nasty thing. And I can tell you firsthand, this is not the flu. The dry cough that you experience is not phlegm, it's little blood clots. When I was in the hospital, there were people in their 30s that were having strokes and heart attacks. So the people that don't die are considered recovered, but is that completely true? Um, I will show you my lung function if you can see it. Um, it'll if you can see closely, there's 85% is the amount I move air, which is pretty good. It's like a report card, but the amount of oxygen I absorb is 61. So months after recovering, um, I'm not completely recovered. Um, I get an F in absorbing oxygen, and I've adapted to it, but I'm not the same. I have a lot of chest burning, and when I keep talking, it gets worse. So I'm going to put a link also. There was a recent study um, that showed some young, healthy Ohio State football players that got sick, and out of 26 people, 30% showed heart damage on their MRI. So so there's things that we're still learning about it. People had questions about the long-term safety of the vaccine. What I would say is there's still lots of unknowns about the vaccine, just like there's still lots of unknowns about the virus. And what we have to do is weigh the maybe side effects of the vaccine from the known and terrible side effects from the virus. And that's what it's all about, is making a calculated guess. But what I would say is in December, there out of 2 million vaccines that were given in December, there were 29 severe reactions, meaning, people got rashes and swelling and nastiness. But nobody died. Now in December, only counting December, only counting Americans, 77,000 people died. So 29 people with the vaccine felt kind of crappy and had some nasty side effects. 77,000 died in that time. So we have to keep that in mind. How long does the vaccine last? We don't know yet. Maybe 6 months, we'll need a booster, maybe 12 months, we don't know yet. But we do know it works. It has a 95% success rate for the two major vaccines that are available. And of the people that receive it, none of them have had the terrible COVID hospital stuff. So we know this shot really works. People have questions about this new mRNA delivery method. mRNA sounds like DNA, sounds like it's going to reprogram our chromosomes. The simple way that I explain it is, a long time ago, you wanted to have an apple pie. We would grow a tree, we would harvest the apple, we would try out recipes until it tasted right, and somebody would teach you how to do it. This new technology is basically showing your body an apple, showing you how to recognize it, and how to cook the recipe, kind of like YouTube has sped up our learning of things without actually having to be there. This new technology is just a quicker way to develop it, a quicker way to present information to teach your body what to do correctly. It doesn't mean you're going to start growing apple pies out of your ears just because you watched a YouTube video on how to make an apple pie. That's the simplest way to explain it. Does this shot keep me from spreading it to other people? It's too soon to tell. Probably it does, but we don't know yet. In the meantime, yesterday, 4,300 people in America died. The other terrible thing about this virus is a lot of people that get it don't have any symptoms at all. So unknowingly, we spread it to other people. Unknowingly, we lead to other people's suffering and death. I used to work in emergency rooms, and I would see dead kids whose parents didn't use a seatbelt. And I would think, this probably could have been prevented. And it's horrible. And while seatbelts don't prevent every death from every car wreck, it's a real good idea. I keep telling people over and over, it's not real till it's real. And when it's real, it's too real. And I have that feeling right now with the vaccine and the virus. And I want to yell at you to, save ourselves, save our parents, save the ones we love. My daughter Ale is in California right now as a nurse. Every day she sees people who are surprised when their oxygen starts diving and they realize that they're about to die and they have a few hours to live. And it's hard to understand until you're there or you're watching somebody go through it. We're all in this together, and I don't know about you, but I miss concerts, I miss movies, I miss traveling, I miss hugging the people I love without feeling like I'm going to get something from them or give something to them. And until we all get on board, we're going to just keep missing those things. And we need to all get vaccinated. We need to protect the ones we love. And this is our best path given the things we know right now.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Yeah, we can't understand you, Dr. Valdez. Sound like a robot.
Trying a different way.
That's better.
That sounds better. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. So can you repeat the answer to when the vaccine becomes effective?
Yeah. So basically, 2 weeks after the first shot, you're 60% protected. There are lots and lots of people that have got the first shot that a week later they got sick. And it's not because the vaccine got them sick. It's because the vaccine hasn't had time to kick in. And so I tell people it's 2 weeks after your second vaccine that you're 95% fully protected. So after you get your first shot, you're on the right path. You're in the home stretch. After you get the second shot, you're pretty much there. 2 weeks later, you're good to go.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. Other
Okay,
questions?
I have another question, Dr. Valdez.
Yes, sir.
If staff or residents test positive for COVID, what's your recommendations about them getting the vaccine? Is that,
so the technical rule, and I think the generally accepted thing is once you've gotten sick and survived and recovered, you should be protected for 90 days. There's still a whole lot of unknowns about it. And I know several people that got sick a month ago and they're going ahead to get the vaccine. But I think the general rule is wait about 90 days because you probably have antibodies that protect you. But my personal feeling, and I'm a microbiologist before I was a doctor, is that people that are positive but don't get really sick, they haven't developed a good immune response. So if you got real sick, probably you have better antibodies and your body recognizes it better. And if you didn't get sick, you know, good for you, God bless you, but you probably don't have great antibodies to protect you. That may not be true. We don't know yet, but that's kind of my sense of it.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. I know the onions have questions. What about the cottages? Now, is there anybody that's still convinced that they're not going to get the shot? There's our onions.
What's the worst reaction that you have seen or heard of after someone getting the vaccine?
So, good question. I'd say a whole lot of people have the same kind of reaction. I would personally, I'd say it was less than I usually get from the flu shot. I can't stand the flu shot. It really ruins my weekend after I get it. I get pretty feverish. I'm pretty achy and I start coughing and wheezing. So I don't like that one either, but I've seen way too many people die from the flu. So when I decide the good effects and the bad effects, I'm going to go ahead and do it because the not doing it is even worse. The most common side effects people talk about are low-grade fevers and aching, and you know, I'm part of these doctor groups with like 50,000 doctors, and everybody talks about, you know, the good and the bad, and there's a good amount of like little rashes that pop up and just a lot of achiness, but it's generally day 2 and 3, and then after that people tend to be okay. So
Okay, we have
Hey,
another
Dr.
one.
Valdez, it's Brandy. So, oh, go ahead.
Okay, what if we have people that are allergic to certain medications? Does the vaccine have any effect on that?
I don't think there's any, and I need to double check, and there's 2 different main vaccines available, but the people that have reactions to penicillin and sulfa and things like that, there's no cross reactivity, and there's no, you know, other than the components in the vaccine, which they'll have listed, there's no like, you know, if you have an egg or peanut allergy, you have to watch out. There's none of those kind of things. It's actually generally a newer and cleaner technology.
Hey, Dr. Valdez, it's Brandy. So we've had a lot of staff say that they, you know, of course, want to wait and see the first round of people getting their vaccinations and see what happens to them, make sure they're not going to grow a third arm, whatever. The concern that a lot of people have shared is just how quickly this vaccine was produced. Usually to that argument, technology has advanced so much since when flu vaccine were created, flu vaccine technology is far different, and it is easier and faster processes now. But can you kind of put some ease to the mind about how they could come up with and produce a vaccination so quickly?
Sure, that's a good question too, and a lot of doctors had that same question. And again, I have the benefit of having kind of more research and scientific training to understand. Generally, when vaccines are developed, some of the vaccines took 15, 20, 25 years to develop. Why? Because there was not a lot of obvious money involved in it. In the old days, they would have to come up with an idea, and their methods were very low tech, and they would put up advertisements in the newspaper to get people to sign. It takes time to get people enrolled into a vaccine trial. It takes time to set up the vaccine protocols. It takes time to run the protocols, and it takes time to get them approved. with this vaccine, the thing is, you know, it grabbed the whole world, and so there's you know, billions of people at stake, and there's billions of dollars at stake, and there's a lot of, you know, technology that we were able to engage, and we use phone apps to figure, you know, to follow people as they were going through the trials. How are you doing today? I get a text every day from the CDC after my vaccine that says, how are you doing? What's going on? How are you feel? Any fevers, any this and that paperwork. But the fact is they did use very, very well structured, very well performed research methods. And the very high level people that I've talked to that don't have any investment in the vaccine have agreed that this is a good vaccine. It's very effective. They just put a whole lot of money, and a whole lot of people are interested in it, and they were able to get it to market, you know, faster than anything ever, because of those things. So.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
There's been a lot of talk about when you have COVID the first time, there's a chance that you could get it a second time that same year. What's your thoughts on that?
Oh, it's not thoughts. I've seen it happening. Patients that I've had that got it early in the year, they came across it again. I haven't seen anybody that got sick worse the second time, but my daughter, who's a nurse on the front line in a hospital in California, she saw several people that got sick months ago and they came back again. They were proven cleared from it and got better, and they came back again and they ended up with bad stuff. So, you know, yes, you can get it twice, and some people have good built up immunity and some don't. So, but the usual is people that got it the first time, they had it mild, and the second time they get it and it's a little bit worse. But it does happen.
Like flu A and flu B?
No, that's the other thing is the new strain coming out. But the new strain is still protected by the vaccine from what they can tell so far. But it's the same virus. It's just, take diarrhea, for example. You can get diarrhea virus, and then a month later you can get the same one because your body just doesn't build up a good immunity. Whereas something like measles, if you get it once and survive, you're not going to get it again because your body has a really good immune response. It's kind of complicated to explain why some diseases generate a good response and some don't. You know, HIV, our body can develop antibodies, but those antibodies don't work. So every virus is a little bit different. This one, you know, it used to be a variety that used to cause the common cold, and you can catch the common cold, you know, once or twice a year too. So kind of think of it that way.
Thank you.
Dr. Valdez, we've been told a lot of the schools, from the schools, that the kids are not getting vaccinated with the COVID vaccine. Are you able to explain as to why?
Well, right now it's a matter of priority. Thank goodness, for whatever reason, very, very few kids get the really bad stuff. It has happened. I think there's been 100 something kids that were under 19 that died from COVID complications. But the vast majority, it's kind of the older you are, the worse it is. So it's just, you know, as it becomes available everywhere to everyone, they'll have kids included also. Because ultimately kids can pass it on to, you know, older people, and kids can get sick too. But right now it's just they're getting the most vulnerable, the most needy, and trying to, you know, save the most people from dying at the moment. So kids will get it eventually, but right now they're not, you know, listed. Like they're starting with, you know, frontline workers, and then they're going to over 65, then they're going to go to over 55, I think, and then kind of roll it out to everybody.
Okay. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, if you have tachycardia or heart palpitations or heart condition, is the vaccine safe?
Well, the virus is not safe if you have those conditions, I would say. I haven't heard, and again, I'm part of these like 50,000 doctor groups, and I'm part of these COVID survivor groups, and people that have this post-virus syndrome called POTS, which is a heart racing and your body's kind of messed up. People have talked about when they get the vaccine, it kind of worsened those symptoms of tachycardia, and but nobody's gotten super sick, nobody's died. And for me, the risks and the badness of the virus are much worse than the possible maybes of the vaccine. So, you know, obviously with any vaccine, there's always potential side effects. And if you have something and it's getting worse, you know, you have to, you know, get medical attention for it. But
What about COPD?
virus is really bad for COPD. Again, I haven't heard of any, and a lot of people, the main concern with the vaccine has to do with people who have immune system problems like cancer and HIV, and you know, people that take immune suppressants, and this is a vaccine develops an immune response. I think those are the biggest question mark and the biggest concern. And, you know, ultimately you have to weigh, is the maybe of side effect of the vaccine worse than the maybe terrible effects from the virus? And as I'm seeing more people that, you know, decide, hey, I have this immune issue or cancer, I'm going to go ahead and get the vaccine. Knock on wood, I haven't seen anybody have any terrible immune flare up or, you know, worsening of their condition. Again, it's always possible, but I've seen the virus just ravage people with immune system problems. So. Great questions. Any other questions? Going. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Anybody that has any extra questions, make sure to get them to Brandy, and I'll make sure that she gets out answers to everybody. So, you know, if something, you know, as soon as we end pops up and pops in your head, you know, reach out and I'd be happy to address it and look into it and answer it for everybody as well. Thank you so much for having me. And, you know, I love to do things in person, and I look forward to meeting each of you in person and giving each of you a hug in person. So thank you very much. And hopefully you all get vaccinated out there. Thanks.
Dr. Valdez, hey, it's Brandy. We also as a region want to thank you and appreciate that you took the time out of your busy schedule to talk to all of our teams and hopefully lay some fears to rest. We appreciate all that you do.
My pleasure. And, you know, I dedicate my talk to Dr. Araujo, who saved me, and I hope by sharing my knowledge, I save some of you. So
thank you.
Thank you.